Deaf people. What's something you thought made a sound that you then learned didn't? My sister is deaf, and got cochlear implants a few years ago. She's also a jogger. She was very surprised to learn that her breasts don't make bouncing noises when she runs. My uncle is deaf. When he got his hearing aids for the first time, he was shocked and confused that refrigerators make noise. He was also very shocked when he realized that trees don't. He knew about wind and that wind made noise in the leaves, but he had thought that trees themselves made noise because he had read "Sound of the Trees" so many times. He said he had expected them to hum or vibrate. My cousin was one of those people that was absolutely sure the sun would make a sound. He was slightly relieved when he got his hearing aids, walked outside, and it was quiet lol. Snow. I have a deaf friend who learned rain and wind made sounds, so just kind of assumed snow would too. She was shocked when we finally had snow and realized it didn't make a sound falling. She did appreciate the sound stepping and crushing it makes at least. I volunteered to be an interpreter at a deaf school for events, and I've worked with the same kid for over 2 years now, and he recently got hearing aids. I yawned and he was very surprised it was quite silent. He imagined it would be an "ah" sound. I heard one where the person didn't realize people knocked on the front door. She just thought it was magic or crazy luck that someone would be there when her mom opened the front door. My older brother is deaf, and once he got his hearing aids he called me freaking out because he had no idea that wind passing through the leaves on tree made noise of any kind, so he assumed that he was having a problem with the hearing aids. He was not, obviously, and it was hilarious having to tell him what the noise actually was. Not completely deaf, just extremely hard of hearing. My older brother had me convinced for almost 40 years that silence wasn't actually quiet. He kept repeating the phrases, "the sound of silence," and "silence is deafening," and I was solidly convinced that there was no such thing as a moment with no noise. When I finally got my hearing aids, I learned really quickly what those phrases actually meant, and I felt very dumb. Feels like most people don't understand the question loudly crying. When I first got hearing aids I didn't realize I left my oven vent fan on for months at a time. Also didn't realize my kitten was so talkative. Loudly crying. I worked in a school for deaf kids. One of the teachers had to explain to her class of 10-year-olds that yes, farts make noise. I'm deaf, and while I have a lot of moments where I'm like, that makes noise, but I don't have a lot of moments that's the opposite. However, just the other day, I was fiddling around with a printer's system, and I moved something. I figured it would make noise. I asked if it made noise. It did not. I was so confused. I enjoy figuring what makes noise, what does not. The conclusion? Y'all are living in a very noisy world. I'm not deaf, but I do have hearing loss. I lived with it for a long time before I finally got hearing aids, and I didn't realize how much I was missing. What surprised me most was just how loud the world really is. Everyday sounds I'd forgotten or never fully heard before suddenly came alive. For example, when I went for a walk, I was amazed by how many birds were chirping all around me. Even the crunch of gravel under my shoes and the rustle of leaves in the breeze seemed almost overwhelming at first. It made me realize how much my brain had learned to filter out or simply accept as silence. I have read every single comment at this point, 95 responses, and I believe a single one of them actually read what I've asked. Remarkable reading comprehension. Reddit, truly exceptional. Not a deaf person, and this might be absolutely fake, it's something I read some time ago. There was deaf guy that somehow got his hearing back, and he imagined the sun making noise. Still, might be 100% false, but I think it was an interesting story.